Hello, welcome back to our page. Today, we take you back to the old renovation job in Mccarthy Hills, Accra, Ghana. Before we continue, please remember to like and subscribe to our page. This project was a renovation and finishing of an old existing building that had been built over 10 years ago. If you remember from our first video, we started with changes to the front carport and the shape and sizes of our windows. With the internal spaces, we had to provide extended areas for both bathrooms and correct screeding for the floor levels. Overall, the project was a huge challenge to the team. The existing blocks were of poor quality and the walls were badly positioned in some areas. The main fence wall wasn't provided, and as the building was situated opposite a hill, we engineered one. As you can see, the building is taking shape. The next step was to plan the landscape, and we took the decision to design and install the concrete stamping method for the grounds. The practice of stamping concrete for various purposes began with the ancient Romans. It is imprinted or patterned to resemble brick, slate, stone, tile, or various other patterns. But don't take my word for it. Let me allow the expert to explain. Over to you, Francis.
I'm Francis Jogbenue. I do stamp concrete. I work for Jacob West. Before we start the process, when we get to the compound, we make sure that we do what we call ground preparation. The ground preparation, what it's about is to level the ground, make sure you get a good slope, and then we compact it with a compactor, a machine that will press the soil to be very solid. Then after that, we start the concrete. But before the concrete itself, we make sure that we mix the color that the client wants. And that will give us the idea of how we're going to mix the color. We normally use 1 bucket of sand for 1 bag of cement, and then some quantity of the color, which is a pigment cement that we would normally use. And then we mix it together for some time to really get the type of the color the client wants. After that, once we get the color down, then we start the process of casting. Before we start casting the concrete itself, we make sure that we set iron bars on the ground in order to create expansion joints in it. So that makes us to cast it in the slab form, bigger slab form, so that we can get the lines inside. It's not just an ordinary line, but it helps to prevent the cracks of the concrete. Once we set the bars, we start casting. As we mix the concrete, to bring it and we cast. Then we dress the surface, we spread the color on the concrete, and then we seal it. When it dries a little bit, we seal the surface. Then we apply what we call anti-queen release. It's a powder. Then we spread that one also on it. Then we place the mold on it, and then we begin to stamp. As you stamp, you remove, you set it, you stamp, and that you see your design on the concrete. Then after all said and done, we leave it to dry for at least 2 or 3 weeks. That we call it curing process. And after that, we come and wash it very well, clean all the dirt, and leave it to dry. Then we apply the varnish. That is a sealant, they call it somewhere else. And that will give you a glossy, shining surface. And that actually helps when it rains or a water drop on it, it just slips off. It doesn't penetrate into the concrete. And that is why this stamped concrete is a good product and it lasts longer than other ones. So basically, that is what stamped concrete or concrete imprint is all about.
Now let's take a look. This is where we started back in 2020, and this is where we are today. The client went with white, luxurious silk ceilings and soft blush walls for the living and dining rooms. kitchen units are white, set off with grey wall tiles. We elevated the dining room area to complement the access to the kitchen. A mixture of soft surface lights and chandelier lights were used for the dining and living room areas. We designed a bespoke wooden door for the main entrance. With the stairs, the client preferred white and tan polished tiles, and we designed a white metal balustrade with a wooden handle. Let's take a look now. And there you have it, a fantastic project started in 2020 and finishing in 2022. The home is beautiful and ready to move in. Thank you for choosing Jacob West. Jacob West, the new Africa already exists.